Okay, I'm going to introduce our first speaker, Chuck Carstensen. Chuck is a realtor with RE/MAX results, helping buyers and sellers in a wide area around the Twin Cities. He lives in Cambridge, Minnesota, with his wonderful wife, Melissa, and 4 kids. Chloe, 17, getting older. Chase, 15, Samantha, 12, Lucas, 6. He may have 3 or 4 more children in his plans. He enjoys working out, playing softball, knitting, reading, and helping at church. His speech is titled 3 Reasons Homes Have a Tough Time Selling in the 2018 Real Estate Market. Once again, 3 reasons homes have a tough time selling in the 2018 real estate market. Chuck Carstensen.
Thanks, Tom, fellow Toastmasters, and people watching on my business page on Facebook Live. I do a lot of Facebook Live, so if I'm going to do a speech, I might as well do it on the live video. And when I start those videos, I always tell people they're welcome to share it, comment. And in this case, Michael could actually answer their questions. He's an appraiser. So ask all your appraisal questions as it comes up in this speech. All right, so 3 reasons homes have a tough time selling in this market. The main 3 things are real estate ideas you've heard before. The number 1 reason is, big reason homes don't sell is their actual condition. Because people hear the market's really hot, so they think everything sells. And I'm going to talk more about that. The number 2 thing, price. Price is always important. I think realtors, buyers, sellers, everybody really figure out how to price things a little bit better, but that's still something I want to touch on. And the 3rd thing, which people have heard this before, is location. So you might say price, might say condition, location, price, those 3 things I've heard about before. But I'm going to talk specifically how those things make a little bit over maybe how you've ever heard them before. So the first thing, condition. So the market's gotten, a lot of people hear, hey, the real estate market's up. Sellers can sell their house. They put their home on the market, it's going to sell. So I commented that, gosh, I feel like the sellers just put their house on the market and they got a crappy house and they're just hoping somebody buys it, and they will because there's not that many houses out there. Now, not every home on the market's a crappy house, but you know, houses take maintenance. Sometimes they're, say, 2000 built, 2002 built. We're in 2018. A lot of that maintenance is due on some of those houses, and I think for some reasons, you know, you sell it. Hey, I don't want to do this maintenance. Maybe I'm going to go build a house. But when it comes to a buyer buying it, they're looking at the house and saying, hey, the roof is 16 years old, furnace, hot water heater, 16 years old. So if you're a seller that hasn't updated those things, and these are just, you know, basic things that come up every once in a while, you're going to have a harder time selling your house than the seller who just did the furnace, hot water heater, roof, those kind of things. So if you're selling or you're buying, you got to understand the buyers are looking at that. Who's got more updates on their house? And then there's the homes that are well past the 16 years on maintenance, where literally the furnace is 30 years old. The roof is really bad. They haven't painted the non-maintenance free siding. There's so many things that buyers are looking for. So if you're a seller or talking about the real estate market or hear somebody talking about it, if there's a lot of work to do in your house, most people are just going to bypass it. They're going to say, you know what, I'm going to go buy that one that looks nicer even though the price is higher because I can, you know, I just can finance it, move in, and be low maintenance. A lot of people are too busy to do the work. So that's why I say conditions really number 1 right now, because if your home needs a lot of work, most people are just going to skip over it, even if the price is right. So that brings me to point number 2, the price. Now, if you're, you know, we're here in Toastmasters, people watching online, all different age groups, so some of you might have bought and sold houses several times. I think maybe, Eric, I heard you say you might have just went through a real estate transaction. Michael here is an appraiser. He's looking at houses all the time. So the market has, most people follow real estate, has came up and bottomed out around, you know, differing opinions, but I'd say around 2012 it started to curve back up. And now we're in 2018, and most markets cycle 5 to 7 years. This market may cycle where it stays higher longer, not drop off. But when it comes to pricing, what I'm meaning specifically right now, 2018, but in August of 2018, a lot of sellers see that their buddy, their neighbor, whatever, Somebody they know sold their house in April or May for, let's just say it's a regular neighborhood in some of these outlying areas, whether it's Elk River, Cambridge where I live, a lot of the homes we sell are Zimmerman, Big Lake, Isanti, but we do it all over. And let's say that average price is $250 and it sold for $250 in May. Right now the market's a little softer, a little bit slower, especially if you go over that price range. But if you had a $250 house, a lot of sellers come and say, well, my buddy sold for $250, mine's a tiny bit better, I want $260. Right now, that $250 price is probably going to be harder to sell than it was 3 months ago. So even if your house is a little bit better, that actually just gives you a chance to get the $250, but it's probably you could list it at $250, but you're probably actually going to get offers lower and have to actually negotiate it out a little bit. And that's what we're seeing literally in the last month, where those prices where it used to sell at that price, maybe get multiple offers, and sometimes we still do get multiple offers. Basically, you're lucky now to sell it at the price, especially in these outlying areas. And a lot of times you're getting low offers and just working that offer back up. Like we saw, maybe aware that your price today should actually be lower than you saw your neighbor sell it for 3 months ago. So that's what I was talking about. Information specific to the 2018 market, not in general. Just right now, it's a tiny bit softer. You got to make that adjustment because in Florida, if you sell a home, they all list them high, it sounds like, and then you make offers. But in Minnesota, in general, people list them at the price they should sell at, and it works out. If you go too high, people ignore it. If you go too low, you have been getting multiple offers and getting it bid up. So that leads me to the number 3 thing, remember real estate, location, location, location. Obviously, location means the farther out you go from somewhere that people want to be, the values go down. If you're looking farther out, the homes are cheaper. And most people know that. But also location could be with, people want to look for acreage. That used to be a big thing. I got into the real estate business 2002 when it was kind of bubbling in 2005. Everybody wanted acreage. 1 acre, 5 acres, 20 acres. On location now, people want acreage, but it's way less. Most people want to be close to stuff. So your acreage property is actually probably the hardest it's been to sell in comparison to what everything else is selling for than it's been in years. When the market was down, properties were down, acreage properties went for less, people would buy them. 2005, let's say when the market was really hot way back then, acreage, 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 people want them. Now acreage is not as popular. More people don't want to be farther out, they want to be close to this end. So some of the hardest listings to sell, and we do a lot of business all over with acreage, are these outlying areas with acreage. So you could have a great property, what do we talk about up front, in great condition. You can have the right price, and your location, it's on acreage, it's a little bit out there. It'll sell, it'll just take longer than you think, because you're thinking the person you knew that sold a house in town in 3 days, wow, gosh, I got acreage, I got all this, it should sell right away. But that acreage, that location actually takes it longer to sell in 2018 compared to the ones in town, even with a great condition, even with the right price. It just takes longer to sell. So that's a summary of what's happening right now in the market, right as we speak, in regards to condition of your property, in regards to pricing your property, in regards to the location of the property. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our Toastmaster, and Mike, we can stop the live video, and thanks for watching. And